In our video number 9, let us discuss savings and investment function. In the previous video, we looked at consumption function. Here, we will see savings and investment function. Savings from the households and investment from the firms. Now, since we know income is equal to consumption plus saving. After consuming a part of the income, the rest of it will be saved. Hence, total income will be equal to consumption plus saving. In other words, saving is equal to income minus consumption. As income increases, savings also increases. This shows a direct relationship between savings and income. If the income reduces, savings also reduce. In the previous video, we learnt about the consumption function. Let's now learn what is saving function. We know that saving is equal to income minus consumption from here. We also know from the previous knowledge that consumption is equal to autonomous consumption C bar plus marginal propensity to consume or the slope of the consumption curve into income. That means a part of the income that is consumed. By substituting the value of consumption, that means C is equal to, from here, C bar plus By. We put this value over here and derive the saving functions. So S is equal to Y minus C. C is C bar plus By. So open the bracket to find S is equal to Y minus C bar, minus into plus minus By. Now we get S is equal to minus C bar plus Sy. How did we get Sy? This Y minus By are like terms. So it becomes 1 minus B into Y. That 1 minus B we wrote as saving. So saving function is equal to minus C bar plus 1 minus By or S into Y. Now here we have seen S is equal to 1 minus B, which is the slope of the saving function or marginal propensity to save. Now what is marginal propensity to save? It is a change in saving due to change in income. Change in saving due to change in income. That is marginal propensity to save. Let us understand this graphically. Now here on the y-axis we plot consumption and on the x-axis we plot income and output. As we go down the zero, we have savings. The previous savings before any income is earned. So what was C bar? C bar is autonomous consumption which has to be made for survival. How did we do that? We consumed from our previous savings. That is C bar or autonomous consumption. Now we draw a 45-degree line which is income. That is the sum of consumption and saving. That means income is a sum of whatever is the income will either be consumed or be saved. So it is a 45-degree line. Now at some point consumption will be equal to income. At that point the consumption curve intersects the income curve. So this point where income is equal to consumption is called the break-even point. Now if you look at the saving side, the autonomous consumption will be equal to the saving. Hence, here at this point, when income is equal to 0, or as long as the consumption was made from the saving, at that point income will be equal to 0. This is the point. So this point will coincide with this break-even point where income is equal to consumption and saving is equal to 0. Okay, because there is nothing that is saved. All the income has been consumed. Beyond this point, the consumer saves his income. Hence, what we learned from the consumption function, this part of it below the break-even point is dissaving. That means he has consumed from his previous savings. Beyond this point, break-even point, we have saving. So this saving will be here, and this saving will be shown here. So this and this will be equal. After learning marginal propensity to consume, let's now learn what is the relationship between marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save. If whatever has been earned is consumed or saved, then marginal propensity to consume plus marginal propensity to save will be equal to 1. Now we have just now seen S is equal to Y minus C, or income minus consumption is savings. And marginal propensity to save was delta S by delta Y. Therefore, marginal propensity to save will be equal to delta S by delta Y. How do we write this S? Y minus C. So, delta Y minus C by delta Y. Now, separating them, we get delta Y by delta Y minus delta C by delta Y. This becomes 1 minus, what is delta C by delta Y? From the consumption function, we learnt that delta C by delta Y is nothing but marginal propensity to consume. Hence, MPS is equal to 1 minus MPC. Rearranging, we get MPS plus MPC is equal to 1. Now, what is average propensity to save? It is the total savings divided by the total income, or savings per unit of income. So there should be a relationship between the average propensity to consume and average propensity to save. We will see that APC plus APS is also equal to 1. Since income is equal to consumption plus saving, we divide both the sides by Y, and so we get Y by Y is equal to C by Y plus S by Y. This becomes 1, and C by Y we learnt it is APC and S by Y is APS. Hence, APC plus APS is equal to 1. So these two formulae are very important for us because they will help us in solving further problems. Now this is a consumption saving schedule. What does it tell us? It will tell us how to calculate the various components. Now we have income at 0, consumption at 15 units. When income is 0, consumption is 15 means that we are talking about autonomous consumption. From where has this come? This has come from the previous savings. So if autonomous consumption is 15, then saving will be minus 15 when the income is 0. Now since there is no change in income, no change in consumption, there will be no change in saving, and hence all these will be dash. Now when the income increases to 50, consumption is 50. And hence, what will be the saving? When income is 50, consumption is 50, saving will be income minus consumption, which is equal to 0. So now what is a change in income? Change in consumption, 50 minus 15, which is equal to 35. And change in income will be 50 minus 0 equal to 50. Now what is change in saving? 0 minus 15, which is equal to 15 units. What is APC we learnt? Consumption by income. Consumption is 50 divided by income is 50. So this will be equal to 1. What is average propensity to save? Saving by income. What is saving? 0. Income is 50. So 0 by 50 is nothing but 0. Now what is marginal propensity to consume? Change in consumption by change in income. Change in consumption is 35. Change in income is 50. 35 by 50 is equal to 0.7. Now what is marginal propensity to save? Change in saving by change in income. So that will be 15 by 50, which is equal to 0.3. So as the income increases, let us say this is 100, this is 150, and consumption this is 85, and this is 120, and saving becomes 45 and 30. Then you get here 0.85, and this is 0.8, this is 0.15, this is 0.2, this is 0.7, 0.7, 0.3, 0.3. So on calculation we find that the marginal propensity to consume remains the same throughout. That is 70% of the income is consumed and 30% of the income is saved. What we need to actually observe here is that the average propensity to consume reduces, whereas average propensity to save increases. You can try one problem. When income is given as 0, 100, 200 and 300, consumption stands at 30, 105, 180, 255. You can calculate the rest. That is change in income, change in consumption, change in saving, and then APC, APS, MPC and MPS. You can do this. One of the very important question is derivation of saving function from consumption function. Let us now look at investment function. I is equal to I bar. Investment expenditure refers to the addition to the stock of physical capital and change in inventories of a firm in the economy. We learnt investment is by the firms. So autonomous investment or ex ante investment is that which is independent of income. Whatever be the income, investment remains independent of income. It does not depend on the income. What is the assumption here? That the firms plan to invest the same amount every year. So based on this assumption, graphically if we see, x-axis has income and output and y-axis has ex-ante investment. So the autonomous investment is parallel to x-axis. Then what is induced investment? That which is dependent on the level of income. So if the income increases, the induced investment increases. If the level of income decreases, then the induced investment might also reduce. So that is induced investment. In our next lecture, we are going to learn about the aggregate demand and aggregate supply in an economy.